The definition of creativity is as follows: the use of the imagination or original ideas, especially in the production of an artistic work. As human beings, we are both gifted and burdened to being the most intelligent creatures on the planet, or at least one of the most intelligent creatures. Intelligence should therefore spawn creativity, but as we get older, the more mundane tasks we are assigned. Our mental capacity can feel drained after a long shift at work or long hours at school or just a project that you are already predetermined to finish. Our capacity to create is overtaken by the need to accomplish a task, and we don't give ourselves long enough breathers to give us room to create. The intelligence we are gifted is often taken advantage to be, in theoretically, the employee of the month. While we are young, we are given the freedom to explore what our minds have to offer. Our creativity at times feels boundless when we're young because we aren't overburdened with tasks as paying bills or just trying to survive the month. In my more mature years, I've come to recognize the luxury of that freedom and how we need that freedom to ground ourselves as who we are as individuals. Being creative allows us to ground ourselves as an individual. I've also found that a constant stream of creativity allows me to clear my mind and make room for more ideas that could potentially meet the light of day. And being creative also would help me get out of any sort of funk that I'm in, as it sort of pushes out that funk to sprout creativity. Recently, I've wanted to be more creative than just doodling on little sticky notes in the middle of work. So I've decided to challenge myself to write for an undisturbed hour every day for a week to see if I write something that I am particularly personally proud of. So this video is just showing you guys my work that I did for the past week. I'm proud of myself for doing it. Hopefully I can inspire you guys to either write or photograph, draw, paint, just explore yourself creatively. So without further ado, hello one, hello all. Welcome back to the first episode of me showing you guys my work. So on my first day, I didn't do very much a good job at writing. I haven't really written long form or even long-ish form in a while, so getting back into the groove of it was a bit of a rough start, but that's part of the process. So I'm gonna share with you everything that I wrote. The first day I wrote a little, not really story. I title all my things too. I just called it Writing to Write. So here you go. I am writing to write, a story to tell unknown to all, including the author himself. Is this story hopeful or tragic? Neither one nor the other, merely words on a page, ink on a feather, jibber jabber of a thoughtless mime. The story never ends nor begins. The story never was nor will be. Just words to start something. These words are the beginning of an experiment. So really nothing. just me starting off to write something, and I think it all sort of starts somewhere. Creativity does not spawn perfection. Perfection takes time. Perfection takes mistakes. You always have to start somewhere. So this is where I was starting. And the next one I decided to think for a minute and have a sort of perspective piece. And so I did a sort of story, more like a memoir, I guess. Perspective of my first stuffed animal and how it's grown up as I have grown up. This is called Once Loved. Fuzzy and felt, I talked through the voice of children. In their imagination, I was their friend. As time moves, I talked less. Dust was family before I took the attic in a tight, transparent bag. I still had my other felt family there with me, though none of us had spoken in ages. I'm not bitter of the time we had. I was a superhero, a pet, a friend. I lived so many lives in the eyes of them. They gave me so many wonderful years. I know if I saw him today, I would probably never speak. He's not a kid anymore. Oh, but how much he's grown. I was once loved. I wonder if I'm ever thought of. It's been so long, I don't even know what I sound like anymore. I still reminisce the voice he gave me, unique to me. I hope to have a voice again. Tied against my silent felt family, I'll drift to sleep to relive those memories. I was once loved. In my dreams, I still am. So that was that. After reading it myself, I was like, this is literally just Toy Story, but okay. But you know, what's cool about creativity is that it comes from you personally. And that's where AI gets me hung up. Because even if you have an idea, AI uses, everything else except what you have in your brain, and you just tell yourself that it's good because you wrote it down and it made a picture of it. So having something that you make yourself really defines you as an individual, and, grounds yourself as an individual as well, because this is you. This is your words. This is your creative outlet. You're defining who you are by who you make. Not who you make, I guess what you make. And to be completely honest with you, I had a really hard time writing on the first day, so I just kind of didn't write for the last 10 to 15 minutes of that day. So, not a great start, but off to day 2. So on day 2, I was much more aware that I was going to write that night, because on my first day of doing it, I was like, well, I guess I should just start today and just do it. And I almost felt more active on the second day, more thinking of like, oh, I wonder what I'm going to write about tonight. I wonder what things will inspire me to put to words tonight. So my next story is called The Day I Saw My Name. I guess these aren't really stories. They're just like short little words. Not even really. Is it poetry? It might be. It doesn't rhyme. But I was inspired by this when I sat down to watch some TV during my break, and an advertisement came up that said, your prescription is ready for pickup, Michael. And I don't know why, but in that moment, I was like almost an out-of-body experience seeing myself like, hey, your prescription's ready to pick up. And I was like, me? I don't know why I felt that way in that moment, but this is my thoughts from that moment. So, the day I saw my name. I don't think I have a special name. It's like every other first name. Stereotypes thrown and ideas formulated for a word my parents gave me. I am not my name. I become what time allows me. Yet through time, I find myself in solitude. I always preferred my own company, except for the rare few I deeply cherish. Connecting with people never gets easier. In fact, it gets more difficult with time, but the ones I love carry me forward. Though the distance between us lingers longevity, because of this, to hear my name spoken to me outside of my home is almost shocking. It's a simple name, nothing beautiful or complex. I sat to watch a show when an advertisement shone up. Prescription for Michael, ready to pick up. That's me. I exist in this small recognition. I could see myself on the couch and I pointed at him. That's you. That's me. That's me. That's me. Out-of-body experiences are so sudden sometimes and caused by the most insignificant events, like seeing my name while sitting alone on the couch. And that was it. Thought it was weird to have an out-of-body experience while watching an advertisement with my work, though I do live away from most of my friends. I miss you guys a lot if you're watching. My job is very much work from home, so yeah, my closest employees or employees. Co-workers is what I mean. They're about 3 hours away. So yeah, hearing my name in any sense outside of my house or inside of my house, aside from my partner, is just weird. It's very strange. I don't know why. And my next one was about tea leaves. I don't know why I wrote about tea leaves. I probably, along with a couple other people, have boxes of loose leaf tea in their cabinets or tea bags that they don't think of often. I used to drink tea a lot, and I don't as much as I used to, but I just randomly started thinking of tea and was like, tea sounds pretty good right now. Let's have like an introspective on tea for some reason. So this is called Tea Leaves. My spare time, I drew some doodles for tea. Yeah. People sometimes use tea leaves to predict the future. Sometimes tea leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. Could tea predict the sun tomorrow as much as the bugs in the dirt? Does it know its purpose when my throat hurts? Will there be a cancer healing tea in 100 years? Or are those kinds of dreams smoke and mirrors? There is tea so sweet your gums could rot, and there is tea to rest, so nice and hot. Who could have known a bag of leaves would see such heights as these? From a hut in the forest to a fancy cafe, tea is boundless, always here to stay. However, tea always clutters in my cabinet. I say I'll drink it, but I haven't yet. At some point, I'll always come back though. There's always a moment in a sunset afterglow. Like a bullet to the head with nothing to do. I think I want tea, I said. Indeed, tea came through. Though I only had peach, which usually never leads, I'm still going to enjoy my cup of hot water, honey, and tea leaves. After my second day, I'm like, you know what? I'm getting kind of on a roll. I'm feeling good about myself. Off to day 3. So I've been playing a lot of Helldivers recently. It's a fun little game where, you're basically like just invading other planets and taking their resources and killing all the native creatures there. Super fun time. But they also are invading your home planet. So it's like defense and exploration, conquest, I guess. I decided to write a story about the perspective of a Helldiver. Like the perspective of a Helldiver, because they die so often in battle, I thought it would be funny to write something as a soldier. So here we go.
A death wish. Suicide. A soldier trained to die. I've never lived much to anything. Nobody's told me I have potential, so screw it. If I die, I went as I arrived. If I prove anything, I'll prove that I'm alive. Not that I achieved a goal I set, nor for the people who don't know me, but to know that I'm alive. I've outlived all of my comrades. I've denied every promotion. If I live, I want to be unknown. Some of my captains don't even know me, just that I've been here for so long by word of mouth. It feels so much sweeter living and liberating as an empty face. The praise of saving is sweet, but knowing the enemy perished to some nobody is hot blood in my veins. I didn't think I'd be good at living. I guess it's just too difficult to die. Not that it couldn't happen, it's just too easy not to. I carry close range only. I want to see the enemy so they can hear me as I scream. Get some.
That's the title of it, is Get Some. I guess I didn't say that before. So having that idea for Helldivers was great, but didn't stretch it off into a big story, so I was sort of mentally blocking myself from writing more than just one page of whatever I was going to write per day. So I split up into stories, so I kind of just didn't know what to write for my second part, so I just looked around my room and saw my bottle full of bottle caps, my Pokemon cards over there, my plaid robe hanging on the doorknob. I just kind of wrote those guys down and went from there. So here's a bunch of jibber jabber about nothing. It's called Material, by the way. Metal bottle caps in a giant glass bottle. A picture of a creature on a cardboard card. Plaid pattern robes with no clothes on underneath. Little plastic bricks making various flora. Our individualism occasionally intertwines with that of what everyone else likes. Those demon dolls and hoodies are interesting in the least. Surely if popularity didn't exist, nothing would become of it. Many things exist under the guise of being niche, yet being niche is popular in some regards. A vinyl player reverberating your favorite record, wearing sandals in the winter, only watching horror movies. However, most interests are inspired. Nothing is truly original, and maybe that's fine. Inspiration is where we grow our individualism. You don't need to wear cleats to bed to play ball. On the field, be your best. At home, give it a rest. Almost everything we do is for us, yet always based on something else. Finding yourself for yourself is rewarding in a way nobody else can collectively experience. Materialistic promises mandate periodic grief. Sitting with myself, thinking on it, happy on me. So, yeah. That was kind of nothing, to be honest. Like, I find myself that I wrote some, like, cool little lines, but I'm like, what does this mean as a whole? Be individual and play ball? I don't really know what I was writing, to be honest, but I'm gonna share everything that I wrote, so. And for the last couple minutes, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna doodle. I'm gonna write a little bit for the last few minutes, so I wrote this, and it really is quite literally nothing. Kind of literally at all. It's like 4 lines. It's called Heading Down, so here you go. When I was younger, I had an aunt who lived in a 2-story house. She had carpeted stairs I would slide down on my rear. If I straightened my legs out, I would slide all the way down. Now my knees will not stop popping heading down a flight of stairs. It's funny, but it's literally and figuratively only downhill from here. Because I'm like literally going down the stairs and figuratively going down the stairs because my knees are popping every time I go downstairs. Guys, be for real. Are you feeling inspired? Are you feeling expired? Has your expiration date reached its term? Well, you know we can fix that if you subscribe. Guys, it's universally known that if you subscribe to this channel, your expiration date will at least go up until the next video comes out. On day 4, I didn't write at all. So, that's on me. I didn't write it all because I was playing D&D, or having a D&D campaign that was about 4 hours long. But I would say that D&D is in itself a bit of creativity because you have to sort of improv your lines and do creative actions to accomplish goals. But because of this D&D campaign, it definitely did inspire me to make lore for my character and lore for my character's past that might not even be canon to our D&D campaign. But I did something with that a little bit later on, but yeah. But a little bit of backstory to my D&D character just for fun. I am a robot wizard growing up in the Nomads. It was like my wizard master created me to be a peaceful wizard to protect the village, and the wizard was raided by evil wizards and killed my master. And I kind of expounded on that. In a way, I was being creative that night, just not in the writing kind of way. So day 5, I'm gonna be so real for you. I don't know if it was because of the day before, but I was extremely tired that day. I had drank caffeine, I went shopping for groceries, and I came home and was like, I really got to do this writing thing. And I almost fell asleep during it. I don't know if you can tell during the time-lapse video. So this is it's gonna be a little bit boring. That's a whole part of the process, you know? Some days you're not gonna be inspired to write, some days you are. It's just a matter of getting back on the horse, you know, or not even specifically writing, just creativity in a sense, because you're putting yourself out there, you're defining who you are, other people can appreciate who you are as an individual, and there are days where you're gonna be tired, and that's fine. You should allow yourself to get rid of that gunk, whether it be boredom or tiredness, and let yourself kind of recharge. It is much easier to create when I haven't been sort of consuming the whole day. Because in a way, almost recently, it feels like we consume so much instead of creating, so we're still full on what we consume throughout the day, and we just still keep consuming, you know, feeding ourselves the For You page instead of putting ourselves out there, which isn't bad for a time. It's okay to let your mind go numb, but to continually do that, personally, I feel like is not good. In a way, writing this sort of boring, more like a blog post, honestly, is better in a way than, you know, just writing all day. And this was only an hour. Only 1/24th of a day to write this down, and it made me feel more grounded. Recommend being creative where you can, because it's really worth it. This is the lemon tree. Bit of a blog post. Here we go. I bought a lemon tree a few months ago. I wasn't sure what I was doing, but I knew that I cared that this lemon tree grew strong. After the first few days of summer, I moved it to the front of my house, where it gets more shade throughout the day. It was becoming dry and brittle quite fast. However, there are many more hungry bugs at the front, so I got plant-safe bug spray and citrus nutritional spray. It got better, then worse. Leaves started falling off and the leaves yellowing. Oh no! It's going to die. I started spraying it more than I already have been. My partner and I decided to go back to the plant store for other plant-related things, but I asked the clerk about the issue with the tree. He said it sounded like it was getting too much nutrients and suffocating it. So I'll limit myself and hope this grows better. I felt like a worried parent, overprotective. Hopefully I can learn a couple things from this. Yeah, that was like more like a journal entry or a blog post rather than like some sort of story. And my next story is about how I'm unreasonably tired. I couldn't think about anything else other than being tired. And you know, sometimes that's all you got. It's like, it's not an original idea to be tired. Everyone is tired. Everyone's probably tired now. Unreasonably tired is the title. It's believed you need 8 hours of sleep for your brain to function properly. For me, an hour less makes me feel tired. An hour more somehow still does the same. On vacation, still the same. On a day off, still the same. Rest, I guess, is not sleep alone, rather a component to the rehabilitation process. It's unreasonable, but I need nothing to happen for a full week. Maybe then I'll feel relaxed. Physical sleep and mental sleep should go hand in hand, but you can still sleep with nightmares, or go on a forced walk with no sleep. I'm unreasonably tired, and maybe that's just age, or maybe just today. No existentialism, no prolonging thesis. Maybe I'm just unreasonably tired today. Feels like forever when you're currently in it. That was it. And I drew my little D&D character. That's him, more or less. So on to day 6, after getting that much needed sleep, I decided today was going to be a better day for writing. So I mentioned earlier how I don't see my friends that often because we live far away. And so, because I was just thinking of them, I just decided to write about it. Simply as that. I've sort of grown accustomed to distance in relationships, as my now current relationship used to be long distance for about 3 years. It's become accustomed to me like a natural part of life, like male pattern baldness. Like, it's just something that you just gotta live with. And that distance has made me miss my friends. It hasn't made me grow distant with them in a way of relationship-wise. I mean, probably partially, but that's why I wrote this. It's not that I'm getting out of a relationship with my friends. I love my friends. There are 2 things that make a really good friendship, and here we go. This is called People and Presence. It's good to see you, though rather far. The journey between us seems to be. We all talk about daily trivial matters and play games into the night. Though their connection is constant, it's odd to not feel enough. The presence of people completes a person. It's strange how different people's presence changes how connected you feel to a person. Touch doesn't even matter. It's just a matter of existing in the same space-time. We know the sun exists in the night, but the warmth of its heat and the light through the windows solidifies its existence. Pictures of the sun are everywhere, but without its light is anticipation for the morning. I'll see them eventually, I know. their memory on my mind and phone, the anticipation lazy like no plans in sight, yet eventually will happen. So that was just a sort of story of me looking forward to seeing my friends again, basically. And how presence is a lot when you're used to distance. And I felt at that point, I was like, I'm getting kind of consistent with this writing part, because these next stories felt like they flowed naturally from me after getting some practicing. The first day is always the worst. You should know that. The first day of creating anything is always going to be the worst. And it might not even be good. But one day is such a short time in our lives, 365 days a year, sometimes more days because of leap years. And you have an hour to spend of that days, 365 days, for 1 year to create something. You should do it. I feel like sometimes we push ourselves to create this big, grand assignment in one go. And that tends to give us burnout instead of pursuing our endeavors. So this next one is called A Wizard's Atonement. And this is based off of the wizard that built my robot wizard character in my D&D campaign. That guy that created me in the D&D campaign was killed by other wizards, boohoo, But it's like, why was he killed? What happened to him? Why was he randomly killed? That makes no freaking sense. Here's sort of why. So this is called A Wizard's Atonement. A promise of a world engulfed in flames. A drop of blood from my hand. The power of whatever I will. These temptations tip the scales forever in my favor. No more to be kicked around. I would make the feet that kicked me blister and bubble. The spit from their mouths eat through their jaw. For years I was feared and revered for the power I have become. Yet after many more years I found myself in such solitude. I had my fun seeing how I saw fit in the world. I had apprentices, scholars who studied me, schools made from my magical findings. Yet through all my revenge dealt and commemorative statues built, I never felt anything more than feared and revered. Through my search for power, I found nobody who would dare know me. Even my reflection seemed unrecognizable. You have everything you wanted, but now I can't remember who you wanted to be. So I ran to a place nobody could find me. I found a small nomadic village that was separated from the rest of the world. Going forward, I decided to only use magic to help anywhere I could. Rather than raining fire on my enemies, I would rain on crops during a drought. Instead of crushing foes under mystic gravity, I would ease the load off of a friend. If they ever knew who I was, would they even let me help them? Because nobody knew me, this small village wanted to. Maybe all I wanted was to be known. Power is wonderful for a while, but the flames of fury tend to scar in times past. I built an apprentice in hopes to teach it how to use magic for good. He's not my most polished creation, but I've made do with what I have. Hopefully this invention of pure innocence will atone for my past deeds. I stepped down from godhood, as the only weakness a god can have is himself. I was eating myself up. I don't expect forgiveness, and I foresee revenge. Let my life start now new. Let me teach goodness. It is better to love and be loved than anything. And that is that. That is that. I thought it sounded cool. It might sound corny. To everyone who's not in the D&D campaign, they would probably be like, yeah, that's a wizard, I guess. That's alright. And I'm okay with that. After 6 days of writing, I'm okay with what I wrote. And for the final day, again, I'm honestly really proud of myself for doing this. It's not even something that somebody challenged me to do. If I don't challenge myself for something, then it feels like something that I'm never going to accomplish. If I do something, I want it to be for me or for the people that I love. But to do something for me to see if I can achieve a goal that I set for myself that seems reasonable, but I know that through the process will produce something I think is very worthwhile. Because after just 7 hours, 1 hour a day, I produced, 14, 15 little stories. And now I'll keep these stories in my mind or on this book for as long as I can. And hopefully fill it out more, so later down the line, I will know what I wrote in my progress moving forward if I ever decide to write more. All this to say is that you should do something creative. It is good. There's nothing bad that can come from being creative. But alas, my last story is actually quite lengthy. I went way past an hour, and I wrote about a 7-page story about the wizard further into the past. This one is called A Wizard's Past. The wizard in question is a dwarf. He grew up in a village, very tinkery. They would, make machines or whatever, and he wanted to be a wizard. So, anyways, moving forward, I also want to try to make this a little bit cinematic. So I'm going to do a bit of editing on my part to make this as much as an audiobook experience as I can. So without further ado, A Wizard's Past. Not many a dwarf proves themselves in magical combat. Where I'm from, we were raised as tinkerers. Sure, we dabbled in magical machinery, but not conjuration. I was a bit of a protege in my craft. Because of my magical prowess, I decided to learn more. I would attend many magical competitions and attempted to eventually enroll in a school. Learning was such a joy, but through it came limitations. Though naturally a skilled tinkerer, conjuring magic was much more difficult. To master the craft of using materials to create, to using your elemental connection to conjure, was a leap, to be modest. So I became the easy victory for certain groups at school. Though annoying, I found it helpful to let them win than cause unnecessary conflict. Would it have been a fair fight? Possibly. But if I won, I would get targeted even more. If I tried and lost, word would spread of my trying demise. No, in time I would prove myself, but not yet. After a few years, I would consider myself a bit of an adept wizard. Hours upon days without sleep to perfect spells, I decided to roam the world in hopes others would accept me on my quest for knowledge. But alas, most mages I came across, figuratively and literally, looked down on me. I've only met 5 dwarf mages on my travels to date, all running into the same issues as I. Some would be inclined to quit because of this. Push back, but not I. The quest for knowledge far exceeds my hatred for hate. I eventually came across a study portraying the secrets of a generation of wizards passed down in an infinite book. The book held eons of magical knowledge and was stored in a book that turned indefinitely. So began my search. I climbed mountains, scoured forests, explored catacombs, yet always stayed out of confrontational affairs. If I were to attain this book, I would do so peacefully. Another few years passed and I found myself in a city pub. It was raining quite hard. A man in a cloak walked in bearing a shiny golden amulet around his neck, resembling a 4-winged eagle. That's the same symbol as the school I went to. So it was. It was one of the classmates who used to constantly challenge me. However, those years were far behind us. He too had gone on journeys throughout the realm in search of magic. As we caught up, to my surprise, he had found the book I had been searching for. It was under an abandoned house. Runes covered every surface for resisting magic detection. I did a bit of digging and look, almost as casual as pulling out a wallet. He showed me the tome. It was so inconspicuous, looking like a regular book. No illuminating pages, no grafted sigils. Just an ordinary book with a dark green spine. I reached out to examine it, but held myself. He pulled the book closer to him in response. I've only read a few pages. I'm nervous to read it, to be frank. The past few years of my life have led to this casual encounter in a pub on a rainy night. Through perilous exploration, I wouldn't have expected such a dull stop. Memories of school rushed back. Though juvenile, I couldn't help to feel jealous. I let you in. I should have this book. Well, I said after setting my mug down, could I read some of it? He put his book into his pocket. No, I don't think so. I turned from the bar counter to face him. I won't be keeping it. I just want to read some. You can't show me something of that importance and not expect me to have a bit of interest. He glanced at me from the side and then past the bar counter. No, he sighed and then laughed quietly. No, I won't let you. Please, I grabbed his chair. Just a few pages. I've been on this quest for so long. He shot up quickly, still staggering from the drinks and fumbling his pockets for payment. I said no, he hissed, looking past me, slightly slurring his words. I know who would pay a lifetime for this. He pulled out coins in his pocket and drunkenly searched the other. I'm sick of doing this, he says, shaking his fistful of coins that wasn't enough for his tab. So I'm doing this to get my lifetime. He pulls his hand out of the other pocket with a couple more coins, but still not enough for the tab. I put a gold coin on his pile. Please, just a few pages. He shoves me off of my stool and runs outside. I catch up to him because of his drunken bumbling. The muddy road is not his best friend. Friend, I yell over the downpour. I can help you. Maybe not a lifetime, but we can work together. Friend! He stumbles back facing me. Laughing, he makes his way to me, stooping down to grab my cloak. His cheeks were pink despite the cold rain. I don't even know you, so leave me the hell alone. Though drunk, his magic swung me around and threw me 20 yards into the street. The cold mud caked my now wet clothes and face. More memories flooded my mind. Scorched clothes, ruined scrolls, being lifted to the ceiling. I suppressed them. He was a kid, and now he's drunk. I was getting up when I heard sludging footsteps heading my way. I couldn't get up. The ground started getting closer, or was I sinking? I need this lifetime. His magic pushed me further into the mud. I can help you! I stuttered, the mud growing to my chin. He hummed, then shook his head. I'll just take your shit though. Easy, Mark. The mud was now in my teeth. He never grew out of it. And of all the people, he found the fabled tome. Tears formed in my eyes as the mud soon reached my nose. In a last attempt for survival, I pointed to the sky. Shifting elemental properties is easier than conjuring them. With the heavy rain, I created ice. In the moment, nothing bigger than a finger is all I could manage, but sharp as a needle. The shard plunged through his head and planting in the ground, splashing me with mud and blood alike. The rain still overpowered the time that should have stood still. He dropped to his knees, then to his side, with the tome lying inside a coat pocket now exposed to the rain. I swam out of my solidifying puddle and wiped my hands off on his cloak to safely pick up the book. Afterwards, reality started to sink in as his body sunk a little into the mud. Almost instinctively, I reached to grab him, then almost as a whisper, I was reminded of his corpse. No life stirred as the bronze ground beneath him multiplied, guilt breeding dread, impending guilt again. I ran. I stayed under the closest bridge. I shivered in the cold and kept reading. I read to try to forget and, in a way, reward myself for my tireless journey. Through all of that, I couldn't help to think, guilty-minded, yet forced to survive. How easy it was. How unfortunately easy. And that was that. That is my wizard's past. Not my wizard's, the master who built the robot. Wizard. Yeah. So after about 7 days of writing, more or less, I would say that I am proud of what I wrote. And I know that I could use that time daily from now to write something long form. In a way, writing these short stories gave me inspiration to start writing long form, because an hour after doing it for a week feels shorter and shorter the more you do it. And yet, it sucks because it's so easy to get out of it. I haven't been writing for a couple days now just to get this script ready, and it's taken a while to even want to write now. Challenging myself for that has definitely helped me do it in the moment, but afterwards, even though I am happy of what I wrote, it becomes harder and harder. It's so easy to do absolutely nothing when we have all the time in the world to do that. With social media, TV, and all this constant advertising, I feel like I'm consuming so much more than I am actually producing. And because of that, that's why I wanted to do this challenge. And I hope that me sharing my stories with you that I wrote through this will maybe help you do this challenge, or just do something creative in general. Good things don't come suddenly, and they don't come from nothing. Starting anywhere is better than not starting at all. So yeah, that's it. I thought this was a little bit different than just ranting about movies. If you like the video and you feel inspired, hit that like button. If you don't feel inspired, tell me that you don't feel inspired, and then that's it, I guess. I don't know. You could do something else. Michael, I do not feel inspired. What was the point? I hope you guys have a good day and a good rest of the day or night or whatever. And yeah, see you on the flippity floppy, man.